So welcome. I'd like to talk a little bit about a new solution that we've developed for the freezing of bulk drug substance. I lead an initiative at Merck. I'm Jeff Johnson, everybody. Hi. I work at Merck Company, new technology lead. I have a group or an initiative looking at new technology, and one of the gaps we found in the industry was freezing of bulk drug substance. And so we've developed a container and a platform for solving that problem. I'll give a description of it and go over what we have developed. So a little introduction about different ways of freezing. The options that are out there are the traditional uncontrolled and then the newer controlled freezing approach. And so when you have it controlled, that traditionally means you need to have a specially designed freezer, a controlled temperature unit. It traditionally has a larger heat transfer to volume ratio than a traditional bottle. Unidirectional heat, well-designed heat transfer, control over the freezing process, and often you can have some rocking or agitation during the thawing process. All these are aspects of what you need to do to control your freezing process. Also, power to your laptop is a good idea, so we'll let him take care of that so we don't fade out in the middle of the talk. So one thing about a controlled freezing process, that whether some people need control with newer formulations, you may not need a controlled freeze platform. But one thing that is good about controlled is it does limit cryo concentration. So if you know what cryo concentration is, it's how you make Applejack. So in the old days, apple cider is only about 6% alcohol. It's not stable, so if you put it outside in the winter, the water freezes, the alcohol doesn't, you filter it through a screen, the ice comes out, and you've concentrated the alcohol. That's cryo concentration. In a protein solution or a salt solution, it's the same thing. If you have a round bottle, as you scale it up, it takes longer for that last point in the middle to freeze. The ice freezes first, it leaves the salt and protein behind. You can have higher concentrations of salt and protein left in solution at the end. You may want to minimize that. Many formulations will have precipitation aggregation quality issues if you do not control your freezing process. The other benefit also, which we like in GMP manufacturing, is reproducibility. So the other one out there, which is also very common, and we have it all across our network at Merck, is the uncontrolled. And in uncontrolled, traditionally, that's what you do at your site. It's often very different from site to site. That often results in your drug product site having different containers coming in. Often the same product made at different sites will come in different drug product containers, which makes it difficult. It's also, this is a picture we have at Merck. This is what we call an integrity issue. An integrity issue is a euphemism for a leak, a hole or a tear. You can see here a bulging container left to this crack in the container. And then up here is probably one of the most common solutions for the freezing of bulk drug substance. It's just using a carboy, right? A 2-liter carboy with a filling bell. This has been done for a long, long time. There are billions and billions of dollars of product being done this way. The downside, of course, is it's open. You're doing open aseptic processing. The drive in GMP manufacturing is towards closed, sterile processing. So the most common technology out there today, there are some controlled rate systems. They're very good systems, very well engineered. Very common one is either in stainless steel vessels or higher alloy, half alloy or higher. Typically they come in 100 to 300 liter size. There's also a very common single-use solution out there, typically a 20-liter bag with a 16-liter fill, and you can freeze about 100 liters at a time. So these systems, again, very well engineered. They provide a very good end-to-end solution. However, they are relatively high capital, they're relatively high labor, and high operating costs, and they're relatively slow. So I chartered a team about 6 years ago, December of 2012, looking at this. We identified the gap, right? The bag-based and the stainless steel-based controlled systems have their drawbacks, right? They take a lot of people to run and they take a lot of capital. And so our mission was to develop a robust, scalable, and cost-effective platform to manage drug substance requiring freezing to ensure stability during the freezing, the storage, shipping, thawing, and final formulation and filling. This is a platform, and the platform is based upon single-use containers and is applicable both for vaccines and biologics. So I'm happy to say after 6 years of work, we have completed proof of concept. So the proof of concept included the development and testing of a 100 liter and a 20 liter container. So those are the nominal volumes. It's 100 liters, which holds 75 liters working volume, and the 20 liter container has 16 liters working volume. We also developed all the peripherals to make this a platform. So that includes the blast diffuser for freezing it, all the material handling equipment to handle these 75 liters frozen is heavy, and the shipper to ship it frozen. So it's an end-to-end solution from the drug substance, final UF skid typically in drug substance, shipping it to your drug product tank, getting it into your drug product formulation tank. We also have stability containers, 100 ml and now a 30 ml container. We have the full extractables protocol, the full BPOG extractables protocol has been run. Looks fine. A new and novel tailgate system that I'll describe later. And we also have the flexibility that this can be made into other sizes such as 6, 12, and 50. We're now actively working on that 6 liter size. And so we have, after 6 years, finally completed proof of concept. Initially, we did have some issues with this, with the 100 liter size. The first couple runs, we had some cracks. We were a little naive. We thought this was going to be simple. We thought we'd put this into the freezer, do a couple runs, and show it worked. Well, the first run, we got a crack. Second run was okay, I think. One run, we cracked 3 out of 4 containers. Run number 6, that was a really bad one. So I'll show you how we solved it. I have all the theory, all the work we did. It's been completely, fully understood. Those issues have been resolved. We've completed over 50 runs in a row with no integrity issues whatsoever at all. At the 75 liter, we've never had any issues at all at the 20. So here it is. It really doesn't show white on white, so this is a new picture we'll have to work on. What you can see here is the 100 liter container on the left and the 20 liter container. So does this work? Yep, here's the 20 liter container here. And you can see it comes with a septic wicks for filling and a double vent filter. So you fill it and it vents, right? And then it has this shroud, which is there to protect it during shipping. And so why is it this funny shape? So the 100 liter, if you look, is 4 times as big. If you were to make the most expensive container possible with the most resin per volume, this might be the design you can come up with. But we're not doing this for resin costs, which is not that significant. We're doing it because it makes a scalable platform. And this is the theory here. So if this is the 100 liter, you can take this into a 50 liter or a 25 liter or a 12 liter. When we freeze it, the airflow is perpendicular. And so the airflow would go like this, and the freezing comes in like this, right? This is your freeze path. And so you can see, independent of the size, it freezes the same. So therefore it is a scalable platform. In addition, we have the 100 ml and the 30 ml, and they are half the freeze path length. And we developed a freezer that only freezes it on one side. So you can have a 30 ml to 100 liter container that all have similar freeze path, the same freeze path length, and the same freezing profile. So it is a platform from 30 mLs up to 100 liters. When I say a platform, these are pictures of it. So here are the containers up in the left-hand corner here. It all fits into a standard Euro pallet. So that's another nice feature of this. It's a standard 800 by 1.8 by 1.2 meter Euro pallet. So standard warehouse equipment can be used for moving it around. It is a special pallet designed to hold it, so you need to buy these pallets, but again, material handling is off the shelf. We have a hoist for picking up the 75 liters and the 20 liters if you want. Again, the 20 liter has a 16 liter fill. You can't pick it up by yourself. Obviously, the 75 needs an assist, and we have that available. Here's the freezer. This freezer holds, as you can see, 4 of the 75 liters, or 300 liters at a time, which takes about 12 hours to freeze. So you can do 300 liters in 2 shifts. And then for the 20-liter container, you can either put the 20 liters in the large freezer, or there is a small, off-the-shelf OEM glass freezer available for not a lot of capital. I don't know if I can give the price, but it's relatively low capital for this. It holds 6 by 16 liters or 100 liters, and it can freeze that in about one shift. And then we have this shipper where you put dry ice in here, and you can ship it anywhere in the world. It will hold temperature for about 90 hours. And one of the advantages is one of the competitors that we're using, our standard platform now, this shipper is too high to fit into passenger airplanes. It only fits into cargo flight. This one is a little bit lower. It fits into passenger flights, opening up a much, much broader choice. And it's easier to get there within the 90 hours. So much lower risk of having an issue during distribution and shipping. The other big advantage is it's 300 liters on one pallet. The other platform that we're currently using right now is 100 liters on a pallet. So you're shipping 3 times as much on a pallet. It's also in cold chain distribution logistics. When you're storing it, it's 1/3 as many pallets in your cold chain. So minus 40 cold chain space. So I'll show some data. Here we show the 100 ml container. It's available both with aseptic connectors or weldable, whichever you prefer, or with door locks if you would prefer that. What I show here is a typical profile. It's 12 hours. This is how long it takes for the large scale to freeze. And you can see we've programmed the small one to freeze at the same rate as the large one. So you can freeze the small one in a couple of hours, or you can program it to freeze at the same rate as the large one. Here's a picture of the large-scale freezer loading the pallet into the large-scale freezer with 300 liters on it with a special lift that we have developed. You can load this into the freezer carefully. So you may have over $1 million worth of product on this pallet. So we have this lift available for loading and unloading the freezer. Once it's out of the freezer, you can use any lift you want, a forklift or a pallet jack. Down here we show how we have modeled the freezing process here and here. This is the advantage of working in a big company like Merck. I was able to go to the IT department. They have their own CFD experts who were able to model this for us. I can promise you the initial one did not look this good. It looked quite different. And after a lot of work, we got it to look like these nice straight lines of cold air blowing across the containers. The other key one is if you look, this is the picture of the containers it freezes modeling. This is the side view, this is the end view. And you can see the key to this is, this is warm, it gets cold, it gets colder. It freezes this way and it freezes from the outside in. And the key to success for something this large and single use is the last point to freeze is at the top. And the reason for that is if the top freezes first, you get what we call an ice bridge. If you get the ice bridge and then you have liquid left down in the middle here, when that freezes, it expands 9%. And it goes out and it can crack the container. Right? So to ensure integrity and prevent that cracking, you want to ensure the last point to freeze is at the top. So to prove that, and again, the initial runs we had, we showed that we weren't completely successful with that. We mapped all of the containers with thermocouples. You can see these little red dots. We had about 20 thermocouples per container. You can see the metrology technician wiring up our thermocouples into all the containers. We put them into the freezer, and we did about 60 different runs at different volumes testing this. And you can see a typical freeze profile here, where it takes about 12 hours from here to here to freeze, and a little bit longer to thaw. But again, very, very consistent. Here we have data from the 20-liter container in this Ferrar freezer. You can see that you can freeze, if you only put one container in there, you can freeze it in a couple hours. This is programmable. You could slow it down if you wanted to take longer. But I think the key point here is this line where we have 6 by 16 liters, which is the same scale as we're using now in our current platform, in one shift. So again, you get about the same throughput as our current platform for about 1/10 the capital cost. And And then, because we're a live viral vaccine company, we wanted to see how fast could we freeze this. And so here we have data of putting this 20-liter container into a liquid nitrogen freezer. So we have, the set point was -100 because the glass transition temperature of this is -110. So be careful, we ran at 100. The standard set point on this freezer was 115, so we said let's try 115. It worked great as well. It froze quicker. We never had any integrity issues at all. So this container can take a -115 liquid nitrogen glass freezer, and it works great. Never had a problem. And then during the thaw cycle, again, this is some one set of runs that we did, where you can see it comes up. It goes into the same glass freezer. It takes about 2 shifts to freeze, but we also developed a rocker. And this rocker picks the one end up about 2 inches. So it very, very gently rocks. Pretend this is the 100-liter. It goes up 2 inches, goes down 2 inches, up 2 inches, down 2 inches. And it does it at a frequency. What we tested here is 15 times a minute or 30 times a second. 30 would be 1 second up and 1 second down. So we did that, again, for mixing to prevent any aggregation or precipitation issues. But what we found is this roughly 12-hour freeze time was reduced to 10 hours at 15 RPM and to 8 hours at 30 RPM. So again, you can get the thawing down within almost a shift with the agitation option. So here in the slide we have going over the freezing problem we had, the integrity issue. So when we started out, our thought was that the headspace would be insulated. It's filled with air. The heat would all go out the sides. This would freeze, and the top, the last point to freeze would be right here because of the insulating value of the air above. And it actually worked pretty well when we had the containers filled all the way. But we found out in the 75-liter, 100-liter container, if we only filled it halfway, the top of it was like a radiator. It would take enough heat out that we would form an ice bridge. The other problem we had at the time was the container had thin walls and it was bulging. And that bulge gave a longer freeze path at the bulge. The combination of a bulging container and the extra headspace led to that ice bridge and the integrity cracking issue. And so we had someone from our IT department again model this. He came up with a dimensionless number he called the ice bridging number, which compared the heat transfer rate out of the headspace versus the liquid. He calls it the ice bridging number. We call it the FLAM number because it was developed by Matt Flam. So some people have the Reynolds number, some have the Froud number. We have the FLAM number. And so now we've analyzed this. We know roughly where the risk of that ice bridge forming is, and we have solved it. We are now comfortably within the safe range. And the way we did that was twofold. One, by making the container thicker, it prevented all that bridging. And two, we put the shroud over the top, which acts as an insulation on the top works. It also reduces the airflow because it takes up that space. And so there's much less heat transfer now across the top. And we've never had any integrity issue ever with either the thicker container without the shroud or with the shroud. So we have double protection now. And here we have a map of that where we show, this is the thermocouple maps where we put it through a jump script. Thanks to Paul James, who is in our quantitative science division or department at Merck, where you can see it starts out warm. You turn on the freezer, it starts to freeze at the edge. You can see it freezes and freezes. And the last point to freeze in this run is exactly what we want. But there was one run where we forgot to thaw. And so we came in and it was already partially frozen. And all that ice was floating at the top. So we essentially started this run. What happened was they turned it off on a Friday. A brand new untrained person came in on a Monday and just turned the machine on without checking to see if it had thawed. So operator error. We started with the ice bridge. You can see here, you can clearly see in this map, there's the ice bridge, there's the container, and we did crack one container on this run. So that's the one and only run we've ever cracked since we've implemented these controls. And the other point we show this is we map this for every run, and we know, when we look at the data, we know that it works. We have a robust solution. So I'll switch gears a little bit now and show how we've looked at making this an end-to-end solution. So very early on in the project, we worked with our engineering group, our architects in our engineering group. We used SketchUp to look at the overall process from end to end. And so that was the key goal of this group, this team. The container by itself, what good is that? The freezer by itself, what good is that? You have to have it so it's operable, so you can manufacture it. So what they did is they looked at it from the warehouse at your drug substance site, taking it out of the shipping container, bringing it into your drug substance formulation suite, filling it. You can see a hoist taking it back out, freezing it, putting it into your -40 freezer, putting it in your shipper, then shipping it to your drug product site, or an intermediate 3PL if need be, in and out, into your drug product site freezer, bring it out, thawing it, and then how do you wipe it down and bring it into your drug product site. So you can see, they thought it through, all the material handling, all the dollies, all the hoists, all that material handling aspect required has been thought about and has been engineered. And so it's kind of fun to see, here's this early sketch of a hoist, and down here you can see the actual hoist that we have, and we can pick it up and load it. And these are 75-liter containers. I recently had someone come in who was the guy who designed the shipper. He'd never seen this before. He went and he picked up 4 containers from one pallet, moved it onto another pallet, and it took him 5 minutes, and he'd never seen it. So it really is just that easy to use. Just pick them up, move them, and reload it. Then the team went on and they looked at how does this compare to the other platforms that are out here. And so we went through, we looked at it. This is the one that we have available for public, right, for lawyers, so I just have colors. The one that I show internally has data, comparing it to the ones that are out there. I'm not going to go through them all by any means, but I do have a couple that I highlighted that I'd like to touch on. The first is that it's scalable. So the platform that we're using right now only goes up to 16 liters. This one has a 16 and a 75 and a scaled up version. The big one is that reduced cold chain footprint, right? Our payload density, we call it, is 38%. So on that pallet, 38% of that pallet is your product, which is about at least three times greater than our current platform. The other one is operability, because it's at 75 liters instead of 16, there's just fewer operations. Because it's based on a simple container going into a Euro pallet, there's none of that putting together racks, putting together all the other things required that we currently have to do on our current platform. We have done a 10-year net present cost analysis of this versus our current platform. The answer is it's well over $10 million favorable in net present cost analysis. And that's for one product. It is very rugged. So again, our current platform uses a bag, which is less than 1 millimeter thick. This is 1/4 inch thick plastic. Try doing that on a bag system. Another big advantage is particulates. So when you make a bag, it is laminating 2 films. That is a high static. Pat uniforms. We have done this. There are cellulosic particulates in a bag. This is roto-molded. It's inherently a low particulate system. We've come up with about 2 orders of magnitude lower particulates per unit volume in our current platform. The other big advantage is it's intrinsic. So instead of being foreign particles like cellulose, it's high-density polyethylene where you already have the extractors. It is fully recyclable. Again, it's 100% high-density polyethylene, so you can recycle it as opposed to a multi-laminate film. It's designed for rapid freeze-thaw, so our goal was to match our current platform. This has about 50% higher throughput, so we can freeze. Our current platform is 100 liters in a shift. We can do 300 liters in 2 shifts. Again, we've come up with a shipper that we can put this on rail, ship, truck, or air, and we can put it on either the freighter airplanes or commercial airplanes. We have a novel sampling system. So currently what we have is a bag system, and we have what we call a pillow bag, a tailgate bag, that you fill separately, freeze separately, and ship separately. Gives some logistical issues. So what we developed here was a syringe, and it clips right into the container. And so you can fill it, clip it in, freeze it, and ship it, and it tracks with the container. So you can ship it separate, or you can ship it with it. It gives you the option. Again, designed for easy cleaning. There's not a whole lot of cracks. There are fewer cracks and crevices than our current platform. And again, it is just easier to use. The 20 liter you can't pick up with one person. The 75 liter does require a hoist, but we have that designed. And we have looked at oxygen and CO2. And so, again, high-density polyethylene is not as good as the CO2 or oxygen or water barrier as the other films that have an EVOH barrier in them. But we are 10 times thicker. And so because of that extra quarter-inch thickness, it's comparable. It's on the same order of magnitude. And so to wrap up, we have completed proof of concept testing. The product is launching today. Merck, we need this product, but our initial volumes are very low. We want to ensure that this product is available to us long term. So to do that, we decided to license the technology to a large supplier so they can sell it to other biotech companies, other biopharm companies. And if other people use it, that will ensure the supply and keep the volumes up so it's available for us. And so today we're saying that we are launching this with Meissner, and they have it at their booth. So Meissner, if you want to know they're here, your booth number is 2341. So the whole system is there if you'd like to see it. It's available, and the containers are available. The whole system is available starting today. And most of all, I'd like to thank the team. And so, Mark, thank you. Couldn't have done it without you. Again, over 6 years, big company, big effort. You can see we had large molecule distribution of logistics, IT, quantitative sciences, the small molecule people who handled powders, did all the logistics, material handling for us. And the advantage of being in a big company is that we can put together a really big team like this and do something like this. So I'd like to thank everybody. So on behalf of the team, I'd like to thank you for being here, and I'll take any questions. Questions?
I had a question just about the tubing and connections and disconnections on the top under that shroud. So I understand the connection going in, or there are also lines to aseptically dispense out of this?
Yes. Yes, the lines, how it works. So the 20 liter is exactly the same as the 100 liter. So you have 2 lines here, one's for going in, one's for going out. Then you have a double vent filter here. Right, so that's the venting. The idea is you would fill it like this. You could fill it like this or like this, it doesn't matter. You fill it and it vents. But the key is when you empty it, there's actually a dip tube that's machined. You see how there's a little well right here? This is a molded part that goes down into a dip tube, into this well. If you tip this, and there's a cart to hold it like this, there's 20 ml of holdup at the end. Both at the 20 liter and 100 liter, both has about 20 ml of holdup.
And the shroud is protecting those components during...
Right, the shroud has 2 purposes. It was always there for protection. Right, but also it's an insulating value on the top to keep that heat transfer to prevent icebergs. You don't need it on the 20 liter, but on the 100 liter, we needed that extra. I've never given a talk in such a loud venue.
Can you talk about the sterility assurance? There was done, is this meant for sterile? Completely full sterile?
Absolutely. So it is gamma irradiated, it is integrity tested, and CCI testing is done. So full validation package is available. Mark, do you have any comments on it?
Closed system connections.
It's fully closed systems. It has the aseptic wicks, right? So it comes fully gamma sterile. So yes.
And you did that same sort of CCI testing after the thaws as well, right? Sort of like a pre-container closure integrity and then post-freeze thaw cycle container closure integrity.
You could, right? You could do some kind of a pressure decay test, or you could do a helium test if you wanted. Right? Any other questions?
Have you done any drop test, like before it falls off from air?
Yes.
How far?
We did the full, on an early prototype, we did full ASTM testing, shipping testing. So that's where you put the pallet in the shipping container, they shake it, they drop it, right? And then on the current platform, we did the full test as well.
So how high for a drop can it survive?
It's ASTM standard, I think it's a 3-foot drop. And then there's this shaker plate, and they're slamming it into walls. It's a standardized test.
Food or frozen? Frozen. Right?
Frozen, yes, it was at minus 40. Above minus 35. No. It's a Dow medical grade drug master bioavailable resin. It's a medical grade resin. Yes. Yes, actually, the original one is what we call the dumb mold, but it's traditional rotomolding, which is done in a big furnace, and it's a very industrial atmosphere. And it actually would be acceptable because it's closed when it comes out, right? Because it's rotomolded, and then when they cut it open, that would be done in the clean room. But since that time, we purchased a new electrical machine that's located in a clean room. It's electrically heated, and so it's molded and final fabricated in a clean room. Yes, they are. When it comes out, there are 2 openings, and they've developed a way to cut that minimizes particulates. Again, we've done the particulate testing. It's available. It's really low. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Hold on one second. What else?
Okay, when you're doing the thawing, is it within the same freeze chamber? It's just a different temperature within the chamber.
Right.
So it's got frozen
Correct. So the freezer, the coils come with a defrost cycle. It's come standard. So there's heaters in there for defrost, and that's what we've used, and it works great. So, and it is programmable, and you can heat it up high while it's frozen and bring it down as it thaws. You could also just leave it out if you wanted to, and then in the early days, we actually built a box with a fan. You could just use room temperature air and do it that way. So there are many options, but the freezer is also the thaw unit.
So the rocker is within the freeze chamber, or is
the rocker fits
part of material handling?
It fits within the freezer.
And that's
I couldn't hear you.
as far as how long it takes for doing thawing, that was 12 to 20 hours typically when it was agitated or non-agitated type thing.
Yeah, I have the data.
I thought it was 12 to 20.
And so when we give times, it's from like -3 to +1. It's right around 0. And so the time unagitated from here to here is about 12 hours. And then when we agitated it, it went to 10 hours. And then when we turned the agitator up to 30 RPM, it took 8 hours. And again, we agitated mainly because of the quality issues with aggregation or precipitation, but we got this is an added benefit. And you can see, here's our thaw profile. And we only took it up to, I think, 25 degrees, and then we brought it down to 20. So we had a very, very conservative thaw cycle. And when it's frozen, there's no reason why you couldn't take it up to 30 or 35 or whatever you wanted initially. And then when it started to thaw, bring it down. It's just that this freeze cycle meets our needs, and so we never went further. And then we also have taken this and put it into a liquid thaw bath, and it thaws in a couple of hours. And it's quicker if you rock it. I did it, I stood there and rocked it. Significantly quicker.
And on the partial fills, let's say you have a number of containers that are fully full, and then you have a partial fill, you don't have the problem with the ice bridge on the partial fill ones anymore, since you've got the cover on it.
We don't have the problem of
The ice bridge forming on
no,
the
so
top.
we have tested these all down to 20%. So the 75, we've taken down to 15 liters, and the 16 liter, we've taken down to 3 liters. Never seen any issue. What we did initially, right? But since we fixed it, we did a whole DOE looking at different fill volumes. We have data available on all that. And there's no reason you couldn't go below 15 liters or 3 liters. We think the worst is actually when it's partially filled, because that's when it has enough liquid to expand. So there's no reason you couldn't go lower than 20%. We just never tested it. Any other questions? Okay, well, great. Thank you very much. Any other questions? You can stop by the Meissner booth.